Welcome everyone, another rendition of the Your Little Castle. We've got our new 4K super bad, awesome camera because we have beautiful people on our set here today. You guys are really changing the world. I love talking to young gentlemen who literally have impacted our community and our world for upwards of 41 years. Is that fair to say? Vince.
Yes, that is fair to say.
And you started the company 41 years ago.
Yeah, started Gold Star, yes, 41 years ago.
And your son, Vincent, now an owner also.
Grew up around it his whole life.
Whole life.
Yeah, yes he
That's called the family business, right?
did. Yes, it is.
My son's right behind me. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Vincent, he's the third.
The third.
Yeah, third, yeah.
That's how you do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio, Gold Star Roofing and Exteriors. These guys do know very much what they are doing, and we are proud to have them in the studio. We had a long pre-game prep, but sometimes we do that as we kind of get to know what are you about, man. That's what I want to find out, because I want to know what you're about, because I'll decide if I should tell them all the good things about you or not. I'm the host, right? Yeah. But we always try to talk about the positive side of the world and the good people are doing. We had a really great discussion, everybody. I wish we recorded all of it, but some people may not want to hear it. So, but it was a good discussion about how we're just impacting our little plan and doing what we do. And businesses, small businesses in particular, small businesses technically is like anything under 100 employees or something like that. Right. Yeah. And you guys have, I don't know, how many people are working with you now?
We're right around 50, but we're also in the winter time right now for us, so some of that's cut back a little bit for this time of year.
Sure. Yeah. No. We kind of experienced that. We've had a couple guys who are like, "Yeah, man, I'd love. Thanks for inviting me to be on the show, but I had a cough, or I had the Christmas, or right. You name it, and I get it, but." I still have to call AVC and said, "Hey guys, got a show. It's coming. Don't worry." Yeah. So thank you guys for coming in to do this show today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you guys are sharp, man. After that long discussion, normally half hour, 45 minutes. I think we did like an hour, just whatever it is. But we talked. Great to have these guys in the studio. But Vince on the far end over there, he's the owner, founder. His son Vincent, not Vincent, right? We got that straight. But shout out to our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture. Because you like nice things in your little castle, and I always share that little piece with everybody, because if you don't have a nice little castle, and that might be many times because you have a roof that's not working right. People don't understand a roof is a system.
Yes.
Not just a cover on your house. It's a system.
Yes,
is that fair to say?
Yes, it is. Complete system.
I've got one of my best friends, a roofing guy. You know my buddy Sean, I think. Yeah. But you better get this roof thing right, because everything else is under the roof.
Yeah. One of the main things to keep your house protected is your roofing.
Yeah, everything. I mean, literally, water gets in anywhere. It runs down the sides and messes up the walls.
It does everything.
You can tell me for hours.
Yeah, rots the wood, rots the studs, rots the flooring. You got to have a good roof on your house.
It's nice to have a nice roof over your head, everybody.
Absolutely.
That's important. Nada is in the house. She helps you run things. That's your wife.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And she's covered. She helps run things. She happens to be in the studio, so I'll wave to her. She's off camera right now.
Hey, baby.
There she is. But again, keeping great family operation. Right? Organization. Operation. That's a combination of those.
Family business.
Family business that you're doing to help our community. All right, let's put up on the wall. I built the wall, the TV walls here. We got two of them in our studio. And I'm going to put on, you guys have a great looking website. Way to go. So many times we have people that have decent looking websites, or sometimes they don't have websites. And we're here to help everybody. We've had people on it didn't have a website, and that's fine. We'll help them too. I always check out who's going to be on the show. We're not inviting just anybody. We've had a lot of people, "Hey, can I be on your show?" And I'm like, let me give you a few tips first. Take care of a couple things, and then we'll talk more. But we like to highlight anybody who's doing a good job, and so we do that. But man, good job. Lots of good stuff you're doing. Great reviews. Great.
Well, thank you.
You guys have been around forever. So tell me, why did you decide this is what you wanted to do? I mean, this is a wild endeavor, but it's paid off, and you've been successful.
I had been in roofing. I'd been roofing before with Gold Star Roofing, and I was doing it for other companies at the time. For my first 10 years of it, I was doing it to make a living, but I was happy doing what I did. I was always liked to do the job and do a good job, and the feeling you get when you finish a job is just unbelievable, because you've accomplishment is a great feeling.
Yeah, I'd say that's something we run into all the time. It's a matter of so many of us are not motivated by money. You're like, you got to get paid, you got to pay the bills, but it just feels good to help people and get a good product. You're helping people with their most valuable asset by far.
Absolutely.
For like 97% of the population, maybe more than that. If you have a nice house, you probably have a nice roof. You have to have a nice house if you're going to have a nice roof. Is that true?
Yeah, you got to have a nice roof if you're going to have a nice house, because without the roof, you're not going to have a house.
Right. The roof is on. I can't say more than 8 seconds, everybody. We get in trouble. But the roof is literally the most critical part. Foundation important too.
Foundation's
of
also
course,
important.
but it all works together. And you don't want to have a bad roof because it can affect your foundation.
Absolutely.
People don't realize that's true. Tell me a time you've had some issue where you've seen that. Well, you've been doing this for a couple of months now.
Quite a bit. Quite a
Was
bit.
that 12 times 41? A whole lot of months.
A whole lot of times, yeah. And as we've seen rafters so bad you can't even walk on the roofs before, because people let it go too long. Because you're walking here, people don't think about the roof like the guys that do the roofing. You know, we pay attention to what the rafters look like, what the color of the roof looks like that matches the siding or brick or whatever it is. There's a lot of factors to putting a system on that people have to go through, and they have to choose what they want. And sometimes that could be real interesting because we got a large amount of colors they can choose from on the shingle end, you know. And so it's very, very important, you know,
And the
that they
ventilation.
have an idea what they want and make sure they stay after it, keep it maintained, you know.
Important. Yeah, I mean, some people they literally don't realize when they see little spots in the ceiling of their, in the inside of their house, there's something else bigger, badder going on above. Is that
And
right?
everything got wet from the roof down to that point. You see, and that's a
Much worse.
situation also, yeah. And then
Much worse.
Yeah, the plywood, the insulation, the
rafters
drywall,
gets into the
rafters.
structure, exactly, yeah, gets into a lot of it.
Okay, well, you do not want to depreciate the value of your house $30,000, $50,000 because you didn't get a $15,000, $20,000 roof.
Right, exactly
put
right.
on.
Right.
And you guys also specialize, I would imagine, we didn't talk about it, but I would hope, I'm sure, you help people make sure they get through that insurance process. Many times the
Absolutely.
insurance companies can be involved, especially in this Midwest region where we have a lot of weather accordingly.
Yep.
How often is that the case, Vincent?
That's about 95%, 95% of the work that goes through is insurance. So with the work, with the rain and the storms and stuff. So
Getting people to understand how the insurance works, they don't.
that's a big one.
Because the breakdown, the Xactimate that they make, is kind of hard for just an ordinary person to understand, and that's where we come in. We do it every day. We deal with this all the time. A lot of people think that they've hit the jackpot with that. You got to know what you're looking at and understand that there's also money left there when they make the paperwork out to you. It's called a recoverable appreciation, and they don't understand it takes us to put the roof on and send the paperwork in to get the rest of their money. They don't get all the money in the first go-around in most cases. It's up to us to get that money back for them. You see what I mean? Which includes putting a good roof on to start with, but then making sure that they get their gutter repaired, their siding repaired, whatever's bad on there. Make sure the pipe flashings are replaced, and any metal that could be, everything gets replaced. And we handle all that. That's where the exterior part comes in with Gold Stars, is we handle the whole thing. When we come out to take care of your insurance problem, you don't have to hire 6 contractors to come out there and do it. We're the contractor that handles the whole job. And we handle the paperwork for you to get the rest of your money to make sure that you're there. Now you've got the small towns and counties and things that come up with the new codes. You have to make sure you have ice and water shields. You have to make sure you have drip edge. You have, in most cases, you have to have a permit to put the roofs on it. And then you have to make sure that the roofer knows to let the inspector come out and look at the wood to make sure the wood's good before you put the roof back on.
Document it.
There's a lot to it that a lot of people don't understand. And that's where we come in.
Hold on. My brother-in-law's a roofing. He's done a couple roofs. He can do this, right? Is that the biggest mistake they may possibly
That
make?
is the biggest mistake.
He can borrow a ladder and put it on his mom's car and drive out there and hold on to it with his arm and get up there and do something on that roof, I'm sure.
They're going to be calling you guys afterwards.
But
Now he's paid double.
Yeah, that's where we'll be here next year, tearing that roof off and put another one on.
But don't forget, he probably doesn't have the workers' comp insurance or the general liability that also protects the homeowner,
Right.
where we do.
That's
Because
important.
it's very important. Because if
Somebody
somebody gets hurt,
you got a $2 million
it's
lawsuit. on your
us
hands.
instead of
No workman's
the
comp's a
homeowner.
felony.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Felony. I didn't realize that.
It's a felony. It's 7
That
years
means
of
you go to
penitentiary
prison.
and a $89,000 mandatory fine if you're caught out there without insurance. That's important.
Wow, I
That's
know, but
very
A lot of
important.
people try that.
We've had a couple roofing experts on there that seem to all know what they're talking about, but that just hadn't come up before. I'm like, people don't
Absolutely.
realize what's
Absolutely.
at stake.
When you hired a guy holding on the ladder on his mom's car, you got a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Careful.
That's funny because you want to cry when you hear about somebody doing it, but
Sure.
you got to laugh because it's
Yeah.
like, wow, would somebody actually do that? But they do.
Yep.
But see, if somebody shows up at your house and they're a professional, they're dressed professional, they have a professional vehicle, they got ladders, you ask them, are you covered by insurance? And they say yes. You're not worried about them getting up on your roof and checking for any damage or anything like that. To where if you got somebody that shows up in a car and hold onto the ladder and that, and you ask them if they have insurance, they say, well, I'll deduct some price off you because I don't. You don't want them on your house. Because I mean, you're taking a liability of them being on there. So.
But I saved $3,000 maybe, and it'll cost me that double 5 years from now.
Or less. Yeah, or less. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Okay.
There's a lot to that. There's a lot to that.
'Cause we
And-
get a lot of phone calls that have to come out and fix people's stuff. So
You got how often is it that's the case? You've got the brother-in-law thing happen. I call it the brother-in-law thing.
brother-in-law,
right? Is that the right thing?
Yeah.
The brother-in-law thing. The brother-in-law contract. That sounds a little better. But the brother-in-law came out, and you're literally fixing it. You had to tear down what they did, and now they've spent at least 20% more and probably double.
if not almost double.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
we got to turn around and fix it.
If the roof's done improperly, that's not the manufacturer's fault, and that's not the insurance company's fault. That's the owner's fault. And now the next roof, the owner has to pay for out of their pocket.
Right.
Why would you choose somebody that works like that? You got to make sure you get your paperwork, make sure your invoices are correct, make sure your lien waivers are straight, make sure everybody gets paid, make sure that he's got insurance, get an insurance certificate. That's not a problem. That's a phone call.
Yeah, because improper installation, nobody had covered. Just the homeowner. The homeowner stuck with
No.
it, unless they try to go after the contractor. But normally, if it's the man that's carrying it, he ain't gonna be in business.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So you're gonna make a phone call, and nobody's gonna be on the other end of that phone.
Another guest from Coach Garage came on. The president drove in from out of town to be here in middle of Illinois. It was great to have him on. He said, Carter, there's a note, and this is what you're talking about. The tail light warranty.
Yeah.
You guys know you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
What is the tail light warranty?
It's the 30-30, yeah. 30 feet or 30 seconds.
30
Yeah.
seconds. Yes.
The guarantees in the taillight. Yeah.
You're covered as long as you can see those tail lights.
Right.
Oh, man, that's okay. Now I know we covered like all 6 of my first questions right there in our discussion because, ladies and gentlemen, my mom was a drama teacher. You do not mess with Mrs. R. My dad, love you, Dad. But she kept me in line. Thank you, Mom. And it's who knows where I'd be, right? But an outline here to cover this. Why did you get into this? You told me. That's why, and we came out right there. You're literally helping people
Literally help
keep the value of their most valuable asset that they can pass on to their children and live in and raise their kids.
Yes.
What led you here? You talked about that. 41 years. We talked about what fueled your passion on all this. Give me a little bit more about that, Vincent. Tell me why your passion was to follow Dad's footsteps here, and you wanted to
Well,
carry the torch.
Yeah, it's family business, but I also, the same as my father, I feel the same way. There's nothing better about when you finish a project and you see that it's right, and then you see the homeowner's facial expression from, they didn't have to go through all this headache to get it done, and it's done. It looks good. Their investment's protected. So, I really like that. A lot of pride. I take a lot of pride in it, and that kind of gives me the passion to keep going with it.
Yeah, good thing. Here's a note. These guys are hitting all my favorite cues that I've learned, and been fortunate people have kind of introduced me. But the judge, shout out to the judge. This is one of his favorite quotes that I remember. For 5 years, we did the Cowboy and Judge show. And thank you guys over there. He works with, and the Car Shield guys, all great guys, great stuff. It was so much fun doing all that stuff. He's got his own show now. I got my own show. And I started mine, and he'd start his. But just a matter chronological, and we did 2 shows for a minute, for about a year. And he said, Cowboy, isn't it great that the way this whole planet works, without getting religious or whatever, but the way this works is when you get done doing something good, you feel good about that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be horrible if it was the opposite and you felt really good about completely taking advantage of somebody? I guess I've studied this. There's 1% of the population that is that way.
Sure there is.
They're running around with us. Isn't it hard? That's kind of crazy. You go to a baseball game, there's 30,000 people there. There's 300 of them that are just like, I can't wait to take advantage of somebody. You got to watch out for those people. There's some psychological things going on there.
We
whatever.
deal with contractors like that as well.
Do you sometimes?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And we got to fix and help customers in that because it's bad. So
Yeah, and it's,
That's why we keep a lot of networking involved,
Right.
which means we deal with the same people all the time to
Yep.
try to keep that from happening. But we do run into, you still run into, people that are trying to get some money and,
leave.
yeah. Get their, I have a friend, recently this happened. I don't even know who they're working with, so I'm not bad mouthing anybody publicly. I never do that unless somebody really got to me, and I'll talk to you privately about, here's something that happened, and I think they just were in a tough situation and try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But literally, friend of mine, friend of a friend, talked to me, and they said, came over, gave a great presentation, and said, here's what we got. You definitely need a new roof. Give us $6,000 down. Poof, never heard from them again. How often does that happen?
I don't know, that's against the law. Better not.
Yeah, well, they would go to
Yeah.
jail if they.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we
but
tracked them down finally, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, where'd you go?"
But we have had, I have had clients that have had that experience where, somebody come in and offer them the world and just go after the money, get their money and disappear.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, what can we do to help them?
Right.
And it's like, I apologize, but
Sure.
It's still costs.
Now I'm kind of like, I don't want to talk about all the scary stuff in the world all the time, because you guys do the other 98% of your time. You
Right.
you guys are just make wonderful things happen for people. So we covered that well enough. Huh? And but that's cool. But yeah, great work. Check out their website. Look it up, everybody. I'll show you here what we've got. But these guys know what they're doing. Here is the website. I give you an A on your website. I do websites for a living very often. I've gotten to where I'm like, I'm not doing any more websites. I'm tired of doing websites. But I will if somebody needs them. Let me know. But some of my guests that come on, I'm like, we want to have you on. We'll hook you up with a website and make sure it looks right and not spend $10 million doing it. But look at all the great information they've got here, everybody. That's Owens Corning is your primary preferred, right?
Yes,
You
Owens
see that,
Corning.
everybody? But A+ rated on the BBB also. Tell me the importance of selecting the correct materials. And why?
Right.
You've talked to me. Our pre-game here, we talked about a lot of stuff, but you know all the manufacturers. And you can tell who does what best.
We
and why
know
you-
our manufacturers stand behind the materials that we put on. We don't make the materials, we put them on.
Right.
So we need someone behind us that if we get in a situation where material is bad, who's going to stand behind us? And we've got the manufacturers behind us that will stand behind us and help us when we get in that situation. And we have, in the past, had where we've had material go bad, and the ones that have taken care of the situation and help us keep the customer with the right materials, as far as even taking the roof completely off and putting a new one on, those are the ones we like to stay with.
That's where you get the cowboy hat.
There you go.
You got this whole show's been what I like to. Why does he put the cowboy hat on? Because you're talking about the things that impact people.
Right.
The Cardinal Cowboy character I created many years ago, kind of as a joke, to be fun and entertain. I'm a bit of an entertainer, ladies and gentlemen. But you want to make people smile. I think you guys get to do a lot of that, right?
Right, yes.
But you also, you have to stand. I don't mention this too often, but I'll talk about it real quick because it ties in what we're doing here. And it is, as soon as I started doing this thing, I'd stolen my dad's hat. That's the joke. The old Augie Bush red replica hat they used to sell me at KC Sports downtown Fenton.
Right.
Yep.
Fenton Plaza there.
Yep.
Not too far from where you guys are. We
That's
grew
right.
up in the same part of the world. And they had that hat. Anyway, I stole it from my dad years later, wearing it to the game. And I started saying, you know what, my career got ended by a drunk driver. I'm going to go to the games and wear my baseball. 'Cause I was playing semi-pro ball. We won the national championship. I won the batting title a couple times. One time in a couple, whatever. So I'm like, man, I could have played in the bigs. We just met with my coach recently, my old college coach. First time since college. 33 years ago. I'm old. And he's like, you had what it took. You were better than a guy that was on his way, got hurt in AA. He was setting records. God had a different plan for me. But that's where I got into this, and I started doing this, and I'm like, my mom is watching me everywhere I'm at. I feel like that, Mrs. R, and I better do what's right. Better do something positive with this.
Yes.
You guys get to do that with what you're doing with
Absolutely.
helping businesses.
Absolutely.
If you're not doing something positive, it's got to just not be good work. It's got to be positive.
And we get to see it happen. We're there. We see it happen.
Okay.
So that's like it's like he said, when it's done, the feeling of the accomplishment of it, and then knowing it's right, and then usually that's contagious. Everybody has that feeling, and it really makes a difference.
Well, yeah, that contagious. I like that word.
Right.
You want to pass on something that spreads everywhere
Exactly.
in a positive way. We talk
Exactly.
about getting a cough or something, but
Yep.
bottom line, yeah, you're doing the things that make an impact. That's contagious to your vendors, to your contractors.
Absolutely.
And that goes positive. Here we're getting into another one. Tell me if this one makes sense to you.
It
There's
takes all of them to make us positive. It takes the vendors, it takes the applicators, it takes our office people. They've all got to have that, and they do.
I love it, man. These guys, this is why you hire people like you have here, because they are experts at what they do, and they will also make sure that this thing is just the whole good karma thing comes together.
Right.
And I was just going to mention, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this one in 150 shows we've recorded here, 150 guests, 300 something shows, but there's two phases in life, and you're either in one or the other. And one is the vicious spiral upwards, I talk about the vicious spiral upward, because it's going great and everything's good. And you can't be in the vicious spiral upwards and at this very same time be in the vicious spiral downwards. How many people get caught up with that? And you have to,
You know, a lot of
sometimes
people do.
they're
Sure.
calling you because their house is a mess and their
Right.
roof is a mess.
Yes.
And you've got to pull them out of that vicious spiral.
Or they're having trouble with their insurance claim. They're having trouble communicating with their adjusters and stuff, and they need us because we deal with it every day. So, we know how to call them up. We know how to talk to them. We know what to explain and stuff like that. So
That's got to be comforting. We've had this discussion a little bit in the past, and that is, would you ever go to court in a big case where your life was on the line, or millions of dollars, or even thousands of dollars were on the line, and not have
professional.
somebody there representing you, otherwise known as a lawyer?
Yeah,
My
no.
dad makes
Make
jokes.
sure you take somebody with you for that.
Make
for
sure you have an
yeah.
expert that knows this. Now, a lawyer is not going to do you much good with a roof other than the legal side
No,
of it. But
right.
you want to have the expert who knows what they're talking about from the roofing expertise. Hopefully, you can find somebody that might have, 30, 40, 41 years of experience. Would that be beneficial, maybe?
I think it might be.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And passing it on with not hiring somebody in to take the company over. Nothing wrong with that, but bringing up your son to do it, who's been there. How long you been working with Dad? Since you were 4?
Most of my life. Yeah, most of my life. I've done other things also, but I've always been involved in
Right.
roofing. So
Yeah.
Hardest thing I had teaching him how to roof is to quit saving the pigeons. That's the.
man, am I allowed to say this on TV? I was
No.
10 years old. You know what I mean?
Well,
Come on.
Oh,
Well, there's a lot you
You
learn.
had to been 12 by then.
Yeah, I was 12. Yeah, you're
Okay.
right. Yeah, I was 12.
But I recall as a kid helping my dad on a project just for the cabin. You had a little bit of your do-it-yourselfer stuff, whatever. And I was helping Dad, and I took the screwdriver, and there was a pipe. And I'm like, oh, look at the pipe. I bet the screwdriver will just go straight down there. Just watch this. Whoop.
Yeah.
So I got the name, and probably for right reason. Some people know me. Everybody, we'd all done whatever. But I was my dad's opponent. I thought that was like an honor. I'm like, oh, my dad called me his opponent. That's no, that's the opposition, right?
Yeah,
that's funny. But
opposition.
but how often do you end up with? You just really help these customers understand. We're not here to oppose you. We are here
Right.
to help you,
That's
and
exactly
they have
right.
to learn to trust you. And that's why I want you guys on my show to talk about, so people understand there are people they can trust. Maybe you guys are the ones they should call for sure, but explain that strategy, that philosophy for life. It helps everybody.
And you do. You called us, and we're coming, and we're going to give you our professional opinion, whether roof needs replaced or don't need replaced, or whether you need to call your insurance company or don't need to call your insurance company. And then it's up to you to decide what you want to do. And hopefully that I presented myself in a professional enough manner with enough experience that you trust me to move forward with this to help you. So
That's
what I do.
it. That's what we're talking about. All right, we got a lot more to cover here. I'm going to talk to you guys about, if you want to stick around, we can do a little more. But let's finish up with we out here. Let's try to get through the important stuff. The reviews, I mentioned it. I'm going to put it up on the wall. Tell me, who wants to talk about why are reviews? You want to get some reviews. It's not something people. You see a lot of people, they pay for reviews. They solicit them. They go after them. But you can tell when somebody's legit because they've got that 5-star. They've got that A+ rating. Why is that stuff important to have? The BBB A+ is good, right?
Lets people know that we are legit and that we stand behind our word, and kind of at the same time gives us a little pat on the back. We like that stuff just like everybody else does. You know, we even got a reward from, what was that, Angie's Leads or something like that. We got the
An award?
Super Service Award.
Okay.
I
had to put that up for you.
You know, thank God, Vincent handles a lot of that. Me and Jerry is our top man in our sales in our shop. He's been with us for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
And him and I, it's hard for us to ask a customer to put a review on a computer. He handles that, and he gets that taken care of for us, and he handles a lot of that. He's the new blood out there, I guess you would call it.
And well, and I'm showing up here on the wall, everybody. There's their BBB, everyone. Look at that. A+, 41 years in business. These are important things for people. That creates some comfort in somebody's mind to realize who they're dealing with.
Yeah, I would hope so, yes.
All right. Tell me then, as we're about to finish up this little segment here, if we will, half-hour discussion. I like to make sure everybody gets a good, short clip, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, great. But let's have you guys really share what they're about as we finish up this little segment here. What's the one thing that you would say really sets you apart? And I think we did talk about that before. We didn't talk about it here yet. But I think I'll let you mention it. But if you don't say what I thought you said, then you tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me what it was. What do you think sets you guys apart?
I think the feeling of accomplishment, that we're knocking the jobs out and that people are happy with what's being done. When a person's happy, well, if we're happy with the job, the customers love it too. And we're trained our people, we work with our people so that they love the job that we do. Because we love the job that we do, and we want everybody to be happy with what we do. And that's why we got our own suppliers and manufacturers that we can stand behind and be sure that we have the right product, and
Vincent, also?
Same, yes.
Yeah. And a thing that stuck out in my mind, and I was like, are you going to talk about customer satisfaction?
absolutely.
But that's what you just said.
Absolutely.
It was you guys have some of the best customer service you feel.
Yes.
Because you've heard that from your guests and your
Absolutely.
clients, I should
Yes.
say. And they appreciate
And
that.
we hear again when something happens or another storm comes through, and we hear again when a storm comes through, and we hear again when a storm comes through. 'Cause they call us 'cause,
Or part of their family
people-
buys another home.
Or they buy another
Because we do a lot of real estate work also. When you buy a new house and that, make sure you got a new roof on your house. In most cases, it's mandatory to have a new roof on your house when you sell your house. Even though you got a lifetime shingle, you still got to keep it updated, and
Yeah, a lot of insurance companies.
so we do a lot of insurance work when the hailstorms aren't in. So I mean, hailstorms are a big thing to us now because we just had 7 hailstorms this past year, and that's been a big deal. But reality, our day-to-day work is a lot of real estate work, and 90% probably word of mouth and past customers and their families and friends.
Yeah, we've been doing stuff for real estate agents we've had them for many years. They still keep coming to us and sending people to us. And not only that, I mean, we have customers that we just had one call us the other day that was back from 2002.
Yeah.
2002, 2003, something
Wow.
in there.
All right, well, let's talk about I'm going to see if we can get them to stick around for a little more, everybody. You got to see their Facebook page. They specialize in stuff we're going to show you here, and we're going to explain the big mistake that people make. But we'll be back